Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dina, and I'm one of the team here at Elderwerks Educational Services. Elderwerks is a non-for-profit organization that provides complimentary services for seniors and their families on all aspects of aging well, from aging counseling to senior living coordination to advocacy and different forms of education. We're here and your one-stop shop, if you will, about anything to age well. So please feel free to reach out to us. It is my pleasure to introduce Judy and Michael for today's presentation of Mastering Your Digital Photo Collection, Organizing, Enhance, Backup, and everything else that goes with it. Take it away, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you. The one thing I want to say before we get started is, as usual, there will be a PDF pass out that will be shared with you after the program. I generally hold back until the program is over to see if there's going to be any changes or any additions that I have to make to it, but we'll email that out later on this afternoon to Elderworks so they could share it with any notifications that they do send out. Included in that will be our Hold Harmless, and what that says basically is check us out, check out the information that we share with you. In this particular presentation, there was nothing that I talk about that I have not used myself personally. But we always advise, whether it's or anybody else out there, trust but verify that the information is suitable to you and reliable. Generally speaking, programs and apps vary depending on the device. And, you know, you could be on an Android or an iPhone or a Samsung, you're using Windows, Mac, Chromebooks, or Linux. So what we're going to concentrate here on are generic principles and universally accessible programs and apps. Any examples I show you will be in a Windows environment because we are both Windows people. So there's 4 general topics I want to cover today. Organizing your library, backing up your photos or copying or mirroring them, editing and enhancing techniques, and artificial intelligence. This is the reason that we talked about AI last month, to give you a glimpse of what is available. We'll talk a little bit more about that today. So we're going to talk about organizing your library to make it easier to manage and access. One of the ways to do that is by tags or keywords, which allows you to do searches and quick retrieval. You could base it on content, enhance your experience, helps to avoid clutter. And one of the most important things is reduces the risk of accidentally deleting things. And it also ensures some easy backup and recoveries. So there's various ways to organize photos. It depends on what you want to do with them and, you know, what your particular forte is. What I do is I separate photos into folders or albums, generally label them by dates, events, activities, or by names of people, places, and locations. And again, it depends on your personal preference. There are no general guidelines. These are just general guidelines and ideas for you to decide whether it's your way of doing things. But if you do use this method, I'm going to caution you, you should be consistent. In other words, if you're referring to somebody named Bob, don't change it to Robert, because if you search for Bob, the Robert will not come up. Give some thought as to how other people might search for things. And I would say develop a list of keywords like birthdays or years or names, certain things, so that you can categorize. You can also use multiple ones on individual photos. So this is an example of what I do. As you can see, I go way back. with digital photos, even further back than this. But here's an example. I put everything in a year category. And what I did is I brought up year 11, that is 2011. And I picked, as you can see, I have 7 different folders organized in this big top folder. So this is subfolders. And when I go into there, I click on patio and squirrel, and I take pictures of the house, before and afters, or interesting things that happen. So I have got the details here, and then I can open them up, and you can see I've labeled them patio bricks and squirrel in tree 1 and squirrel in tree 2. Don't take my process to heart, figure out what's best suited for you. Another way you may not be aware of is what's called metadata. And metadata is not something that you can search for, but when you open up one of your photos, it's going to appear to you. It's stored in your photo. Again, it's not typically visible or searchable. It includes dates, locations, settings, et cetera, et cetera. And you can use metadata to really add more detail and structure for any photo that you want to identify. This was a photo that I took of a ship on a cruise that Judy and I took. And when I went into metadata, what you can see here is the camera itself assigned a name to this. There's already a date right underneath it, but there is no description. But I can add either a description and I can change the dates. So what I did was I put the name of the boat and where I took that shot from the Costas Catalina Islands. So that's an example of metadata. Geotags are another thing that is attached to your photos. If you have this turned on, it'll give you a latitude and longitude. It is function of your device, and again, whether you turn it on or off. And with that, I'll stop for a sec. I see a couple of questions, a couple of things in the chats. Judy, do you?
I had a question and it disappeared. Let me think of what it was. Well, when you click.
Please explain metadata and if the photos were printed and scanned.
Metadata is something that is attached to the photo when you take the photo by the device that you're taking it with. You have no control over that. But it is something that a lot of people who are starting to take photos don't realize that it's actually there with a whole bunch of information.
And here's another. So when I click on photos, my last date is not mentioned. Don't you have to look for the dates?
Generally, when you save that photo, you have a date. Now, if you're downloading the photo, the date that you download it may appear, not the date that you've taken it, but the date that you've taken it will always be in the metadata.
And where do you turn on geotags?
That's a function of your device, and because there's so many devices out there, I can't tell you. But that is really your GPS on your cell phone. And cameras, if you still have digital cameras, which I do, it is a function you have to go into settings to set that as to whether you want it to be used on the photos or not.
So if a photo was scanned, there is no metadata, is that right?
Well, we're talking about photos that you're taking either with a digital camera or with a a cell phone. So you're right. If you scan it, no, there is no metadata.
That's it.
Right. Did I answer the questions? I know we didn't look for a reply on them. Any follow-ups on any of those?
Not in the chat.
All right. So backing up your photos versus copying or mirroring. This is a concept. These are different concepts, and I'm going to try to explain the differences between them so that you have a better understanding of how to make sure you keep the photos that you're taking. Because it really would be sad if you lost all your photos. And we've talked to people who have, for one reason or another, due to their error or some malfunction on their equipment. So the question you've got to ask yourself is, where are your digital photos stored presently? Have you the ability or the know-how to transfer them to another storage device? Have you backed them up? Have you made copies? It's important to have copies to prevent total loss or total failure in case your hardware fails. Computers fail, cell phones fail, cell phones get dropped into toilets all the time. And another thing that you have to safeguard against are cyber attacks. I mean, if you've got your photos on a computer, on a PC or on a Mac, they can be hacked and held for ransom supposedly. But that's one reason to make sure you have backups or copy your files. And there's a principle that's known out there is called the 3-2-1 principle of copying your data files, and photos are considered, to be data files. And I've been preaching this for several years, that you should have at least 3 copies of important data files, the originals being one of these. My premise has always been, if it's important, back it up or making copies of it. If it's really important, back it up or make copies of it twice. And this is the 3-2-1 philosophy. 2 being, they should be on separate forms of media, which means if you've got the photos on your smartphone, you should have backups or copies somewhere else. And I'll go into those different options that you have as far as cloud storage, as far as external devices, and just a bit. And then at least one of those media files should be kept off-site. Just as an aside, Judy and I were at our safety deposit box yesterday. And one of the things, we were really there at the bank to pay our real estate tax bill. But one of the things I do is periodically I switch a thumb drive or an external drive with data and update it and switch it to what's in the safety deposit box, which adheres to the number 1, which is a media off-site. There are other places to do it. You can do it in the cloud. You can give it to a relative, all different types of ways to do it. But I always have one off premises. Backing up your photos is one way to do this, but it involves making an encrypted copy. So what happens is you're going to need that backup software if you ever want to look at it. You can't just go to a backup.
No, it's mute.
Can we silence that person, please?
And find it.
No, that means that's what you want.
But it didn't matter.
Okay.
Okay, got it.
All right. This is not the same as copying or mirroring. And these terms are close, but they're not identical. When you copy something, you duplicate that file from one location to another, and you're not making a backup. You're really copying it so that you can go to that media and click on that and see it in the same way that you would click and open it on the original media. So if I have photos or files on an external hard drive that's connected to my computer, and I've got a program open and I want to look at the file that's on my computer, I can do that. If I want to look at that file that's on the external media, I can look at that, and they're going to appear in the same fashion. There is something called mirroring, and in another class that we teach, we talk about a mirroring software that will actually copy an entire folder at one time. So you're not copying individual files or individual photos. You're making an identical copy, and it's a lot faster than trying to copy and paste or copy and drag things over to another external device. If you need any more information on that, just contact us, but that is a Windows-based program that we have been using for quite a while. So here are just some options, including cloud storage or local storage. This is going to be on the pass out, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time with it. Regardless, you should set up some sort of automatic program or automatic reminder to do this, again, to prevent loss. And that is the major concern I've got. I make sure every weekend, if I haven't done it faster than that or more sooner than that, that I will back up all of my, make copies. I don't back up. I have automatic backup set up, but I make copies myself. I just program myself to do it every weekend, again, to make sure I haven't lost any updates. So one of the things is cloud-based storage. And again, there's pluses and minuses to it. I skipped one. Even if you choose cloud-based storage, remember something, it's not perfect. I mean, here's a couple of examples. Google Drive lost files last year, and I lost files on my Google Drive, but fortunately I had copies elsewhere, so I did not lose them totally. This is just a report that came out last week about data centers frequently having outages because of staff shortages. And this is, in my estimation, this is going to lead to some failures in the future. So cloud storage is not 100%. Here are some options depending on what operating systems or what facilities that you use. Again, this will be in the pass out. Physical options, physical storage options, or a couple of things that you should do. Determine how much storage you need is one of them, but there are flash drives, there are hard drives, there are what we call SSD, solid state hard drives at this day and age. If you really want to get technical and get super sophisticated, there are what's called RAID drives, which provide redundancy because there are multiple drives. This one I'm showing shows 2 drives. I mean, we had one of these in the house until, of course, it failed. So we have another alternative for our storage right now. And if you really want to get sophisticated, you set up networks. We do not have a network any longer. Again, at one point in time, we had network, but that was before solid state drives became very, very reasonable, and before cloud storage became reasonable. So I see there's a couple of more things in the chat, so I'm going to stop for questions again.
Is a shared file or saving to the cloud considered a second copy?
Yes.
To both?
Yes, as long as it's your shared drive or
Okay.
cloud that's in your name, absolutely.
Okay. How do I back up photos on the hard drive without duplicating the old photos?
Again, backing up means you're encrypting those files, and you need software to do that. And you should not do that backup on the same drive that you've got your originals on. You should have either a second hard drive, not possible on a laptop, but on my tower, I actually have 4 different hard drives on my tower, or you can have external drives. And again, a backup is not a copy. A backup is an encrypted file that you need that backup software to decrypt and reinstall. So again, there's a difference between backing up and copying. Now, whoever asked that question, did I clear up that mud?
Fasim, if you want to unmute, you can answer.
Or if you have a follow-up question. Okay, anything else, Jude?
Okay. When I download a media card on my computer, how do I create a file for those pictures, and how do I get those photos to the iCloud?
Well, number one, when you download anything, it's either gonna, and I'm talking Windows now, I'm not talking Mac. When you download, you're gonna have two options. Your default is it's going to download into your download folder. If you go to your settings, however, you could tell it to download, but you want to specify the folder that it goes into. So when you're downloading that media, you can set up a folder and just put it wherever you want on that computer. In order to get it to the cloud, once it's on your computer, then you have to open up the cloud, access and upload it. You will not be able to download directly to the cloud, though. You're going to have to, unless it's an Apple device, and I'm not familiar with how that happens.
It is.
Again, I'm talking Windows, and there is no way directly to do that.
That's it.
That's it. Onward and upward. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about editing and enhancing techniques. These are basic editing tools that are available whether you're on a cell phone, whether you're on a computer. There are there are default programs on Windows. There's default programs on Mac. There's programs you can download to your smartphone. And I am going to be talking about some of the techniques or some of the things that you can do with photos. Hopefully you recalled this image, and if you could see, we're at a little angle. I was not drinking anything that day, but I didn't have my camera on a tripod, and it was a little off skew. So one of the nice tools that's available on almost all programs are straightening tools. So what I did was I straightened this image. Could have used a little more straightening, but at least you get some idea of how to do these kinds of things. Next, I want to talk about cropping. And what cropping does is it removes unwanted areas. So if you notice here in the shadows, if you can see my pointer here, there's tender over here that when I crop this photo, that second tender is out, and the ship actually, encompasses a much larger portion of the photo here. So that's called cropping. You have the ability to change brightness, exposure, contrast. A lot of times on smartphones, I found that they're underexposed, and I generally will put it into a program, especially if I'm publishing it, to increase the exposure. I have a program that does it automatically, but this particular program, it is a manual adjustment that has to be done on this. And this is a brighter version of that original photo. There are filters that you can put on to change the essence. I mean, if you recall the earlier photo, the sky was a little lighter, and I just made it a little darker here to enhance the contrast between the ship and the sky here. This is a markup tool, and so I just added a note here. I certainly did not keep this as part of my collection, but this is just an example of doing that. I use this a lot when I'm doing demonstrations, just adding notes for programs such as this. But I generally use something called a text insert. Here's another very fantastic tool. It's called Blemish Remover. And if you want to change up your photo, this is again, a very nice tool. Some programs call it spot fix. Again, some programs call it blemish removal. Red eye removal, well, I remember way back when we were still printing pictures that you always used to get red eye when you were using flash. But red eye removal is a matter of a couple of clicks in this day and age. So if you have digital photos that are displaying red eye, real easy to get rid of that. It even can do it for animals. There are separate settings for this, whether it's people or animals. But again, most programs give you the ability to eliminate red eye. Except I think for animals, it should be called white eye. So there's additional editing tools like adding text box, adding objects, rotating, sharpening. We'll talk about that in a second. And adding motion. What motion is it's a GIF file. It's called a GIF file. And what you're doing there is you're taking multiple images or multiple shots of the same thing, and then telling the whatever program that you're on to loop them. And you can loop them into different segments, different time spacing, a fraction of a second. If you want to go faster than, slower than that, you can do 1 second. So you have some options. This is something that's great to play with. This is an example. This is not a video. This is actually what's called a GIF file. And it is a sequence of pictures that we're rotating through. We're just cycling through those pictures. Judy and I do a program called WACI Monday for Senior Planet from ARP. And this is one of the GIFs that we've developed for that program. So I want to give you a list of apps that are user-friendly and online so that it doesn't depend on what device that you're on, and they're good for some of them are for phones and some of them can be used on computers or laptops. They really make photo editing simple and enjoyable, and I've used every one of these, or I've checked them out. So Snapseed is something that's available on Android, Windows PCs, and Macs. It's a great photo editing tool. Adobe Photo Express is an online editor. You could also download a free app. These are some of the things that you can do with it. On the left side, you could see different types of effects that you can do with this particular program. You could rotate, you could flip, you could change aspect ratios, you could change exposures, contrast, you could resize your images, you could change the quality of the image. Again, you could remove red eye either for people or for pets. A very nice program, very nice online program. And again, you'll get the link to their program in the pass out. Canva is a great program, free. There is a free and paid version of this program out there. One of the nice things about it is you could actually upload your own images there and do things like adding text to those images. So this is a background image that I used for a Zoom presentation. This is an image of a program that we're doing, Judy and I are doing on Eventbrite for seniors. Photopea is a great tool. Takes a lot of studying because it's akin to Photoshop. If you've ever used Photoshop or anybody has ever talked about Photoshop, this is a free online image editor that's really comparable to Photoshop. Doesn't get as intricate as it is. It's not as difficult to learn as another online program called GIMP. And there's a lot of YouTube videos out there to explain different aspects of Photopea. The nice thing about it is it can open up all kinds of files. If you've ever done a Photoshop or a GIMP file or a Corel Draw, if you go back that far and they're still sitting on your computer and you haven't figured out a way to either open them or to convert them, you don't have to worry about that in Photopea. It can open up almost any image that any format of an image that you saved or you have over time. Again, a whole bunch of tools. Some of these tools are advanced. Some of these tools are basic and on the free version, and some of them are a little bit more advanced and they ask you to subscribe to them. But for basic skills and basic tools, it is a very, very nice program out there. Any questions about this segment?
None in chat.
Yes, I thought I put one in chat. I wondered, what is that that little class that you have on Monday?
I am answering you right now.
And I'm going to be explaining. I have a slide on that, and it will be in the pass out as well.
Okay, and the pass out, I had to come on a little late. The pass out is something you're going to put online?
At the pass out, you will. I don't do the pass out until the program is done, is over, right. Because if I have to make changes to it, I already have a PDF of it in case there are no changes, but I haven't sent it to Elderwerks yet. So I send it to Elderwerks and they distribute it because we don't ask for your email address, okay?
Okay, good. They distribute it to the attendees.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you much.
Anything else out there?
No.
All right, now let's go into artificial intelligence again, which we talked about last month. And some editing and enhancing tools that I just find quite remarkable because I'm a Photoshop guy and I've had Photoshop for quite a while. And some of the things that used to take me hours to do on Photoshop are now done in a flash. I'm not talking about instantaneous. I am talking about within a minute or so, just online tools, and the tools that I'll share with you are free, easily accessible, and again, I've used every one of them. So again, they automate some of the things that we try to do. This can be things is like remove objects in backgrounds. Think of an eraser. But what some of this AI stuff can do is not only erase those images, it can fill in that background where you erased it from. And that's called generative AI, where the smart aspect of it just takes it and again fills in the background that it thinks should be apropos for that. Some of this is just absolutely amazing, and most of this is relatively new. We're not talking about something. I am talking about something that's probably been happening for the past six to 10 months. You could add images, you could fill in backgrounds. Image upscaling means that if you have any photos maybe that you've scanned, some old black and whites, some old photos that are fuzzy, we call them lower pixels. We talk about that in pixels, and pixels are actually the dots that encompass a photo. And if you know about smart TVs and how bright those pictures are versus TVs 10, 15 years ago, that's because they cram more pixels into that screen for you. And there is an actual tool I'm going to show you how you can actually increase the pixels and upscale images. They'll reduce noise. That's a photo term. Correct colors, correct skin tones, all kinds of things out there. So this is one of the tools. It's called Magic Eraser. Again, it's free, and this link will be in the pass out. But I wanted to get rid of the parrots, and this is what happened.
Oh,
And maybe I should have gotten rid of the leaves, but
yeah.
absolutely. But this was a great demonstration of not only how it gets rid of them, but also how it fills in that space that the parrots were occupying prior to that. And again, this is automatic. All you do is you upload and you use a brush stroke, and then you click on the go button or whatever button it is to proceed. Here is a site that if you have black and whites, older photos that you've scanned or even taken in black and white, and you want to colorize them, it's an automatic process. And on some of the sites, you can actually change that tone. I picked a very light tone for this. So she stands out a little bit more from the background. There are other sites out there where I could just say, I only want to colorize that person. And that gets a little bit more intricate, but this one is a site to do it automatically. Here's a background removal site. And as you can see, all you do is you really upload that image and it does it automatically for you, or you use brush strokes to remove the background. But this one is an automatic. This is what it did for my sister's dog, Ralph Lauren, who's a Sox fan. And what happens is when they remove that background, it's saved in what's called a ping file. And that is PNG, and that stands, well, I know what it represents is a transparent background. It's not a great example, but I just put that dog without the previous background into this image. And it's automatic. It's, again, I could have spent hours years ago doing this on Photoshop, but just did a couple of clicks and it's done for me. TinyWow is a great free site. You don't even have to sign up for it. Has a whole bunch of different types of things that you can do. Here's just a partial list of what it'll do with your photos. It can also convert photos from one format to another format for you. Here's a photo that I took of the bean in downtown Chicago years ago, and I just asked it to blur the background, and within a minute or so, there's my blurred background. Adobe Firefly is a great program. It has a free and paid version. The free version will put a watermark on the output, but so what? So I still have clients in my consulting business, and this was an image that they sent me. One of the things that they asked to do was remove these cut marks in the asphalt. And again, I could have used Photoshop to do this. It would have probably taken me a while. They also wanted these bricks removed from the concrete over there. I put it up into Firefly. I pressed a couple of buttons, and this is the end result on it. Again, automatic. I don't have to do the work. Other examples, well, I took Ralph Lauren and I gave him a tuxedo and a hat and sunglasses. So a friend of mine, I just decided to play games with this photo. And if you take a look at his right hand extended over here, I asked an AI platform to generate a picture of a glass of beer in his hand. And this is what it came up with. Now, if you notice one subtlety here, in addition to putting the glass of beer in his hand, it also rotated his hand slightly, because if it would have been in the first picture, that beer would have been spilling off into either his lap or into the surfboard or boat, whatever he's on right here. So again, automatic. This is called generative. You just write the text. What you do is you highlight that hand area and you say, place a stein of beer or place a glass of beer, and this is what's done automatically. I talked a little bit about upscaling. This is a background that I use. One of my fondest memories was climbing this pyramid in Mexico called Chichen Itza. This is not a picture. This is something that I scanned from a pamphlet. This was the original. I don't know whether you can tell the brightness of the clouds on this, but I took a close-up on this. This is the original scan that I did. And if you notice the outline of the top of the pyramid here, that it's what we call pixelated. You're getting those white shadows, that the color is not completed there. It's not blue and it's not brown. And this is the upscaled version. And this is an upscale to a factor of 8. There are other factors that you can use on there depending on the complexity of your photo. But notice how defined those edges are right now. Even look at the clouds and see how defined those edges were. Again, because of pixelation, they just were not that good in the original version. And again, I've got several sites for upscaling, but this is the one, if you notice my pointer here, where I can go all the way up to 8, a factor of, again, 8. And again, this is a free site. Take advantage of it. They, of course, want you to buy. All of these sites practically do, except Tiny Wow that I mentioned before. But you can check out all of these easy to use. They either are free or you have a free portion that you do not have to pay for. So any questions regarding that which I talked about?
Yes, there were a couple that you touched on, but maybe you wanted to reiterate.
Go
Do
ahead.
any of these tools apply to print photos that have been scanned?
Print photos that have been scanned. Well, most of your editing tools are okay. I've never really tried things like background remover on a scanned image. That's interesting. But you can certainly remove things from a scanned image, and you can generate things from a scanned image. And you can, what I mean by generate is things like add the sunglasses, add the tuxedo. That has nothing to do with whether it's a scanned or regular image. In fact, I have to take that back. Yes, you can, because I have used scanned images. I just did that recently. Yes, I was able to remove objects from a scanned image. So yes, it does work. It's going to depend on the platform. It's also going to depend on the resolution, and it's going to depend on the contrast. In other words, I had difficulty removing something on a beige tablecloth because the color of the object that I was trying to remove was very, very similar. So what I was able to do is paint over that image rather than remove it. So you know, there's certain things that it's going to do easily, and there are other things that you have to use different types of tools to accomplish what you're trying to do.
If you blow up a picture to print, is there a way to eliminate the graininess?
That's called the upscaling. All right. I would definitely upscale if when you blow it up, you get that graininess. That graininess is what I was talking about pixelation. So if you're taking a small photo and you want to make it a larger photo, you can. I mean, you know, thinking about that, very interesting, because I did that when Judy and I were married. The photographer disappeared on us.
It's only because we kept the proofs for about 2 years.
We had the proofs, and what I did was I scanned the proofs and made some 8x10s. It wouldn't go any further, but I ought to go back and take those scans and upscale them and reprint them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Yeah. So if you're seeing that pixelation, or even before you go to print it, if you're, you know, just upscale it, go to one of the upscalers, and it at least is going to give you better definition. One of the other things in some of these programs, and AI is really changing rapidly. I've seen some things that will automatically change facial coloring, which sometimes you get because of poor lighting. I mean, the invitation here is, this is an introduction, all right? Investigate it, have fun with it, play with it, learn from it. And that's the reason that we talk about free programs that you don't have to pay for. At least get your feet wet with this to see what you can do with your own photos. Anything else, Drew?
Any suggestions for handling the multitude of photos that come in via text messages?
That's a horse of a different story. And number one, we talk about this in another program as far as security and privacy, that you should not be automatically opening those photos in your email. And there are settings on your email that you can do so that those photos are not automatically opened, because there's some problems with viruses and malware that can be attached to those photos if they're coming from a non-reputable source. So that's the first step. What you can do with them, not much. If people are inundating you with photos, you can't. You know, thank God that on certain emails, you can download those photos in what's called a zip file rather than doing them individually. But if you need anything further on that, email us, or, you know, and a link will be to a site where you can just contact us, and you know, we'll sit and chat with you for 15 minutes or so. Our 15-minute free sessions have turned into an hour and a half at times. That's an invitation if you do want to join us, or you do have specific questions. Anything else? Because I think,
How do you pick photos from a file or the cloud to create a new folder or a specific topic like a trip or event?
Run that one by me again.
How do you pick photos from a file or from the cloud and create a new folder of a specific topic like a trip or event?
Do you want to copy those or do you want to move them? Is the first question. The way to do that is you just set up a new file and either you drag and drop those photos into that file or you copy those photos into that file. If you're on the same device, if you drag and drop, it's going to move them from one folder to the second folder. So if you want to keep them in the first folder, you've got to copy them. And then you can, you can name that folder anything you want. You could, you can make a slideshow out of that. You can make a video out of that. I've been doing this for 20 years. I mean, with slideshows and videos, Judy does it. It's really fun. Anything else?
Yes, to access these apps for photo editing that you were discussing, do you just need to download and open and that's it?
Some of them are online and some of them you can download. All right, and that will be in the pass-up.
Drop, yes, video or show. Does upscaling increase the gigabytes significantly?
No.
Okay, that's it.
All right. There is some question you should take when we're talking about online and downloading. I'm not going to go into the details here. It's going to be included in the pass out because I see we're running out of time. There's safety and privacy matters. There's steps that you might take for added safety and privacy. Again, these will be in the pass out. We were asked about this. This is the Monday program that we do for Senior Planet from ARP. Again, that information and those links will be in the pass out. This is a program that we've been doing for about the past 2.5 years. Every Monday afternoon at 4 Central, except for holidays and breaks. And you're welcome to join us on that. We also have started programs for tech help specifically for seniors on internet technology and artificial intelligence. These are free programs that we do once or twice a week on Eventbrite. And again, that link will be in the pass out for you. We do want to thank you. I mentioned that we have a place where you can sign up for 15 minutes or half an hour or an hour, whatever you want, session. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing screen and see if there's any other questions out there.
How do you add music to a slideshow?
That depends on the program that you're asking. What platform are you on? Are you on Mac or are you on Windows?
I think Michael's on a Mac.
Then I can't tell you. All right. On Windows, there's a brand new program that you can download called Clipboard, which is a video editing program. I use a program called Caden Live and Audacity. And again, if you need further information, sign up for one of our appointments. Because again, I see we're running out of time, Deanna.
No, it's fine, Michael. I learn so much each and every time we do this. I can't thank you enough. Did we get through all of the questions, Judy? I know you were staying on top of them.
I do believe so. So if anyone has anything else, just pop right in.
And as you can see, our email address is above my shoulder. This is my Dana White. This is my Dana White impression over here. If you do have questions or you need anything, just drop us an email at wacitips@gmail.com.
Hey, Michael,
All
what I
right.
was referring to when I asked about photos via text messages, you bounced over to email, but I'm curious how you handle photos coming in by the dozen from text messages from friends and relatives.
Well, the question is, do you want to save them or not, Dave? And what I do is I generally either download them or I'll send them to me. I'll share them with my, I'll share them to myself.
Okay.
The other fun thing to go off of Dave's question with the text messages, if you're texting in between or different phones, using iPhone photos coming into Android aren't the quality changes.
Yes, and sometimes the formats, depending on how you're saving it on an iPhone, you may not be able to open it, but that's in settings as to how that photo is saved. But there are conversion programs out there that'll readily convert that iPhone format to a format like JPEG or something that's easily seen by an Android phone or a Windows.
Perfect. Any additional questions, anyone? If not, I did just drop in the chat the link for the Elderwerks events that are coming up. We have lots of different things coming up. We are looking at a program that will be hopefully in person here at the center, specifically to cell phone usage for not only Android, but iPhones as well. We're working on that. So hopefully we will have that coming up later this fall. Michael, Judy, as always, it was awesome to have you here today. The amount of information that you put together in a very friendly, approachable format is greatly appreciated. I can tell you we had about 50 individuals on from all over the nation. So that is huge. Thank you for doing this for Elderwerks.
Thank you, Dina, very much for having us.
Yes, you're very welcome. And that's one of the reasons that we started this program on Eventbrite. We're actually getting people from all over the world coming to our programs, and they're specifically slanted for seniors. And I know Dave has been on a couple of our programs.
Even though he's not a senior, right, Dave?
Right. He colors his beard, so
we're all Peter Pan images. We're never going to grow up, right? Age is just a number.
So Michael, I hit 65 a few weeks ago, so I'm legit.
Oh boy, a baby.
well,
All right, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And I'll send out that PDF to you, Dean.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye-bye.